What's going on, YouTube? Listen, we're back again with another video, and this time, of course, I'm doing the usual content creator strat. I'm sourcing Twitter for all of my content inspiration and ideas, and this time I wanted to create a safe space for all of your Street Fighter related questions. Listen, were you curious about how a mechanic worked and you were too embarrassed to ask? If you didn't understand how to do a Shoryuken, a fireball, how to mash hands with Honda or Ed, I went to Twitter and I opened up and I said, hey, have at it. Ask me whatever question you want. I'll see if I can address it on this stream and in this YouTube video. And that said, you really listened. You like really listened. Like way more responses than I could possibly hope to get to in this stream. I might have to in the future stop just doing open blank slate questions on Twitter. We're just going to go through them and pick out some questions, and I'm going to try to answer your Street Fighter questions. Tiramisu asks, how do you vary up your defense? Throws really get me. Higher level opponents throw me so much. I've been told that my tech timings are obvious. Should I be labbing each specific scenario? Walk up throw, stagger pressure is difficult to deal with. Well, Tiramisu, one way you can deal with that is by understanding the throw situation, like you kind of alluded to there. If you understand the throw situation with the character, you can understand what options you have to challenge depending on what you think they're going to do next. So common scenario with most characters is if you take the throw mid-screen, oftentimes they're not going to be in range to throw you again. If you quick rise after that, they're probably going to have to dash up or walk really far in order to approach and get in range to throw again, so it's pretty obvious to check them. If you're in the corner, however, it can be really rough against certain characters because no character has a true throw loop in the game, but they're kind of like pseudo throw loops where it's too indistinct and too fast for you to really react to them going for another throw. You kind of have to commit to pressing a fast button. Karen, when she throws you, Poison, when she throws you over and over in the corner, you pretty much have to just commit to pressing a button. Defense is not always taking the least risky option or, just blocking all day. Sometimes you have to commit to challenging and see if they're overextending. But you have to think about it. They're taking a risk to throw you over and over again, and you're taking a risk by sitting there blocking over and over. Understand their advantage in those situations, and every once in a while, wake up, press that jab, press that 3 or press that 4 frame, and be ready to convert on it if you happen to catch them going for the throw loops on you. Could you break down taking turns at a more advanced level? I understand what it means, obviously, but when I'm watching high-level matches, it happens so quick that I love to understand the recognition that you have as to when your turn ends or begins, etc. Well, Cypher2142, it's pretty much an oversimplification of how the game works. When people talk about turns, it's more like a spectrum than it is something that's binary, right? If something is your turn, it usually means your plus, and if you go for a tight string, you will beat any button that the opponent presses. But that line gets fuzzier and fuzzier if you're more spaced out, if the opponent has options that can be invincible, or if you try to overextend on your turn. For example, it's your turn because you're plussing in their grill, and you use that knowledge that both players have that it's your turn to then gather more ground and walk further closer and throw them. Now, people will deny turns by doing things like, oh, I know you can move first, so that's why I'm going to do an invincible reversal or something like that. Or when people say, oh, you're challenging and you're stealing turns, it means they're plus, but on defense, you guess that they're going to use that knowledge to overextend, and you jab them while they try to walk forward or press like a big, slow, heavy button, which is not tight enough in that string to interrupt you. So that's kind of what the turn terminology is referring to. It's not a real thing in the game. It just refers to people when they're plus and at advantage. Any tips or thoughts for dealing with stress? Street Fighter V in particular has been one of the most stressful fighting games I've ever played in my life, even in casual matches, to the point I've had to take long breaks just to recalibrate. Well, Jelani, Aiken, Rocknan, yes, fighting games are stressful. I don't exactly know how to comment on that because I get stressed out when playing Street Fighter, but for the most part, don't worry too much about the win or the loss. I think that's kind of the important thing. It's a mindset. Like, what are you stressed about? Like, you care too much about the result of the match in front of you. But it's a competitive genre. It's going to be stressful to some degree, which is fine. I think that's fine. That's why I enjoy it. That stress kind of gets you energized to a degree. So being too result orientated, I think, can really up the stress level. So reevaluate what you care about in a match that might be impacting what you're focusing on and causing more unnecessary stress. All right, Salty Steve asks, looking back at the state of the game, all the changes over the years, all the things you've done and accomplished, all the work you put in, all the pain and headache, all the friends and fantastic experiences, I just want to know, was it worth it? Damn. You're trying to give me an existential crisis. I was expecting how to do a Shoryuken, how to do a Hadoken. Was it worth it? I think so. I made connections with a lot of people. I got to do a lot of things. It's kind of like my small bubble of the world. I was able to add something of value. You know, I've heard an analogy before with graduate students who are doing their master's thesis about how all the collective human knowledge in the world is like a big bubble. And when you complete your thesis, your paper, whatever it is you do to graduate, your goal is to not make some groundbreaking revolutionary realization or discovery. All your goal is to add a small dent to that bubble, to slightly etch out the edges of that bubble to enhance humanity's understanding and knowledge, right? So I was able to kind of find my bubble and make that dent. I've, to a small degree, left a mark on something that I was passionate about, and I think that's something that people care about in life. So I think in the end, yeah, it was worth it. Dominic C asks, how do I play slower? Coming from more fast-paced fighters like Guilty Gear has conditioned my brain into thinking turns are hella quick when I'm just jumping the gun in Street Fighter. Okay, so basically you are playing impulsively without being able to consciously control your decision making. There's a part of you that wants to play slow, and then there's this like instinctive lizard brain part that takes over in the heat of the moment and just goes, oh, go ham, mash, 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 jump to jump, keep going in, right? You need to just tell yourself in your inner voice to not do those things. And if it happens, remind yourself to not do those things. And then when you're in the match, just keep repeating that line in your head and keep reminding yourself, and eventually you'll be able to tame the beast within and be able to actually make conscious decisions. That's going to be something that applies and manifests itself in many different ways, right? You do the wrong anti-air when they jump. You do the wrong combo when you get a punish, right? You throw tech reflexively without thinking about it. This is just one of those many things that you need to bring your gameplay from your subconscious to your conscious level thinking. And then eventually you can put it back to your subconscious level thinking, let it be autopilot. But for now, you need to consciously think about your tempo. I've been looking to try my hand at Street Fighter V for a bit now, mostly from watching your videos about it. Sometimes something I do want to ask is, when starting out after I pick a character, how do I build a consistent game plan? What should I look for in their buttons and specials? Listen, you're actually asking a big question here, Tetsuan Melty. That's cool that you're getting into it. For the most part, you just need to play the game. If you're starting out new, look for resources, watch other people play the character, look for combo stuff, things on YouTube, on Twitter. Go to training mode, get familiar with all the buttons and special moves, understand the combo routes, and then play matches. If you want help, you need to start asking yourself questions about what you have questions about. You need to identify what you don't know about. And so you can't tackle any problem in life without breaking down the big problem to really small problems. And if you ask yourself questions about what you don't know, eventually you'll figure out like the smaller things to ask. I'm trying to drink from a fire hose right now. Those things I gave you, you can try those to start learning, but you just need to do it. Just play the game. That's the #1 answer. Sebster asks, by the way, nice profile pic. Whose thumbnail is that? This is what I'm saying. Me and AA, we're changing the game. This is the Brian F thumbnail. I'd like to know, how can I improve my corner pressure? Most of the times I just sit there pressing buttons. I don't know what buttons to press and how I should use them. I play G, by the way. So what is the main thing about the corner, right? People can't move, and because of that, you can adjust your spacing while they can't. So if you have them in the corner based on your spacing, you can either just keep them locked down there by doing safe pokes and everything at a range where if they hold up forward and try to jump out, you can still anti-air. That's one option. That's like the lockdown option. But if you're trying to like go in and actually apply the throw mix-up, you should know some tick throw setups with G. G has, 12 long frames and a huge range command grab. You get in, if you get a meaty, you do jab, medium punch, crushing medium punch. If it hits, you get a combo. If they block jab, medium punch, you can just do command grab right after, right? G can also like play around that button range and then use the heavy kick, use the mediums to kind of lull them to sleep, and then walk in range and command grab. G's command grab is so far that people will whiff their mediums and whiff their jabs trying to stop you, and it'll just graze his nose and he'll grab you. So try those 3 different approaches: maintaining space and then anti-airing if they jump out, going for the point blank throw mix-ups and committing to the meaties into the combo or the command grab, or lulling them to sleep and, you know, playing the space game and then walking in and command grabbing, right? Try those 3 things. Have you ever felt anxious while playing fighting games? Yes. And how did you deal with it? I don't know. I don't know why I feel so anxious, especially on ranked playlists in Street Fighter 5 and Guilty Gear Strive. I don't feel anxious really playing ranked anymore, but there was a period of time where for some reason the first ranked match of the day, I would feel weirdly nervous. For me, tournament nerves, still huge, still is there. I think rituals are a really good thing. I try to like do breathing rituals, deep breath, hold for 3 seconds, release, do stuff like that. Blood flow. I think when you're anxious, your blood flow goes down. You can try moving around, doing some push-ups, jumping jacks, whatever. Staying warm helps me. But that's about it. I'm not the best at dealing with tournament nerves, so I don't got better advice. The other thing is shift your mindset. I think you shouldn't care about ranked like this. Tournament is one thing, because I think it's harder for me right now to not care about tournament results, but you shouldn't care about ranked. I mentioned this earlier, shift your mindset. You shouldn't care about the win or loss of the rank match as much as you should care about applying things that you practice. Gargroth the Gluttonous asks, I understand some combos use trigger activation halfway through, but on certain characters it almost feels like there's an unspoken rhythm to follow, and if I miss it, things go amok. Is there some visual indicator or startup trick people use for consistency I'm missing? So this is a situation where your question is really ambiguous, and I think that's the problem. You need to specifically figure out exactly what's going on in that one combo you're trying. If you said, hey, can I activate V-Trigger during this move, this special move, this cancel, I can say yes or no. But because you're being vague with it, it makes me think that you're not doing the same thing every time and you're expecting the same results. There might not be universal rules that you're talking about. If you think you know something and you see it work, repeat it, make sure you understand how it works, then try to tweak a variable and see if that still works. Once you understand a bit more about what you're confused about, then I can give you more specific advice. Caveman Cannon asks, which characters have the best implementation of VSkill? Not necessarily the best ones, but the ones that show how cool the mechanic can be. I think Balrog is really good, actually. I think Balrog has a really great integration of his VSkill with his kit. Because VSkill 1, when they announced 2 VSkills, I was like, there's no way they could replace VSkill 1. Because VSkill 1 does everything. VSkill 1 cancels his dash punches, gives him Oki, gives him anti-fireball, gives him combo extensions, gives him an overhead, gives him a high-low mix-up. VSkill 1 does everything for ROG, right? So many applications. But then they came out with VSkill 2, and I was like, oh, this VSkill 2 just completely changes how the character plays. Suddenly he's not a charge character. So I think Balrog actually has like a VSkill system that really changes how he's played and is integrated pretty well into his kit. So that's one I can think of off the top of my head for sure. How do you check a hit confirm window into different special moves? For example, Ryu's crushing medium kick into MK Tatsu is confirmable, but EX donkey kick, I think he's saying, doesn't feel confirmable, and I don't know how to check the difference. What I use is FAT. This is going to be something you might hear me reference a lot. Frame Advantage tool or Frame Assistance tool. I always forget what it is. They have a web app, but I use it on my phone. It's an amazing app. You know, here it is in my browser here. And they have this data. You can actually look at the confirm window data. That's why people say, oh, this is a 16 frame window, confirm window, whatever. So like here's Oro, his crouching medium kick. If I click on the notes, specific cancels, hit confirm window, right here, it tells me. Specials in CA, it's a 15 frame confirm, right? Which means that I have up to frame 15 to cancel my special move. However, it does not mean that the special move will connect, it'll just come out. So with Oro, I can do crouching medium kick into like any special move, but if I cancel on the later frame, like frame 15, and I do heavy kick Tatsu, it won't combo. That's kind of the idea. You can look at this data, like we can change the character right now to Ryu and look at his crouching MK, and we can see he has a 16 frame hit confirm window, definitely hit confirmable, right? But some moves are too slow. So if you late cancel to EX donkey kick and it gets blocked, then you kind of know, like, yeah, I can't really special cancel into that. But 16 frames is definitely a very viable hit confirm. The 15 and plus hit confirm windows, those are the ones you can go for pretty reliably. So you know you can hit confirm it. If the special move is too slow, it's too slow. It just be like that. It's kind of part of the balance design. They don't necessarily want you hit confirming raw into EX donkey kick all day. You can check this for For sanity checking, you can do this resource to check the hit confirm window, and then lab and test what you can late cancel into. Triton204 asks, on a character like Fang, my main but anyone works, when you regain control of neutral after being knocked down, what is your best way to maintain the control? I find it gets so much worse at keeping away once someone already got in. Often I feel pressured to jump at them, etc. I mean, that's going to vary based on the situation, but if things are getting scrambly, sometimes the best thing to do is to just stop for a second. Just stop. Just block for a little bit. I sometimes wait and react to what they do. If you challenge what they do appropriately, you get a knockdown. Then you can start setting up your zoning game, setting up your pressure, taking control back again. But sometimes you need to breathe. Take a second to just down back for a little bit, man. Just be like, whoa, what's going on here? Especially if you can take the throw, right? Take a throw, whatever. You might go back to neutral after that. And, gather your bearings for a second. What would you do when you feel like you've hit a slump in performance and feel that you become inconsistent? The Isan DTT, thanks for the question. Yeah, that could be tough. I think with any kind of slump, no matter what, always be trying to find something to practice, right? As long as you can find new things to gain knowledge of, new things to work on. How do I punish this? How do I strategize against this? What's my optimal thing here? As long as you keep adding up those little things, psychologically that motivates you because you're always learning. As long as you feel like you're learning, you have feedback to know that you're learning, you will feel good. That's the trick, is to how to structure what you do with fighting games so that you continuously have feedback like, yeah, I'm improving. Yeah, I'm improving. That's the number one thing to do. It's all in your head. It's all about motivation, all about staying satisfied mentally with your progress. Sonic Giwan asks, when's the best time to V-shift/V reversal, and when is it better to do one over the other? This is a really big question. I can give some general guidelines, but you need to understand for every character, you need to know what moves, if you block them, you get a guaranteed knockdown V reversal. I'm assuming you play a character with a knockdown V reversal, right? That's where my mind goes. If you have a fast V reversal that leaves him standing like Ken, Geef, or Chun, this is different. And if you have a pass-through V reversal like Colleen, Fong, and Rashid, that's also different. Whole different ballpark, whole different metagame behind that. But if you have a general, like a 17-frame knockdown V reversal, you need to know per matchup, if I block this move and I V reversal it right away, I will knock them down. The classic example is M. Bison. With Bison, if you block standing Fierce Punch or the Psycho Axe, the down forward Fierce Punch, that's plus, you can V reversal those and get a guaranteed knockdown. Those are two buttons he pressures with all day, and it's an opportunity to get a knockdown. If you V reversal the heavy kick, however, he will block it. So that's a waste of your V meter. You wasted your resource to get out of pressure. So don't do that. You need to know these things. V-shift is a little bit more situational because there can be stuff that you can get guaranteed V-shifts on. But also, like, V-shift can be used for guessing strings on defense. You can't V-reversal lights. You get nothing from V-reversing lights. If you block a couple a light, it's probably better to do a V-shift, even if it's not successful, than a V-reversal. Because if you do a light then V-reversal, you might just get thrown and you get nothing. So V-shift from light strings and from specific setups and sequences that you understand how to V-shift. V-reversal on guaranteed heavies that you get a knockdown and get the pressure going. Stein I asks, how the fuck do you see cross-ups from jumpins? I play mainly Guilty Gear, but recently picked up Street Fighter V, and I swear to God, I get shocked by almost every cross-up that hits me. Like, I don't get mixed by Milia that much. You're just not used to the jump arc. I think you just gotta play more. Even for me though, occasionally I'm like, what, that crossed up or what, that didn't cross up? It happens, but characters have different jump arcs in this game, so you are literally just going to have to get hit by it until you get used to it. But yeah, some characters I can say definitely have weird jump arcs, and you might get mixed here and there. It's just part of the game. Play more and you'll get better at it. Master FM asks, do you react to the different rises, or do you try to read your opponent, or do you try to have an answer that works for both quick and back rise? Totally depends on the knockdown. I think you need to lab your knockdowns and then understand the situation from mid-screen, in the corner, and getting near the corner, right? For example, with Balrog, I knew that if I did EX straight mid-screen, if I did medium punch canceled into VSkill, if they quick rise, I would be +2 point blank. But if they back rolled, I would be +7, but I would not be close enough to throw. So in that situation, I would generally go and just do that setup. Because if they back rolled, yeah, they got out of the throw situation, but I can maybe react and press heavy kick or just let them get up. But if they quick rise, I'll be in their grill and I can pressure them with a jab or a throw. However, I could read they're going to back roll, and instead of doing the medium Oki, I would do the heavy dash straight Oki. If they back rolled in that one, I would be +2 and in their face and can throw them. But if they quick rise, I would be punishable. They could jab me because I would still be lunging at them. So generally, I would say go for your Oki on quick rise. If you have a read on them, chase them down in the back roll. But just know your knockdown options from every knockdown. Every high level player understands exactly the Oki situation from every knockdown they have. So my real answer is lab all your knockdowns and know what options you have. Wealth Squad Asdaboy asks, can you learn fundamentals and create a strong base with any character, or do certain characters kind of skip that kind of learning to play their game? If I wanted to simply improve my overall skill in Street Fighter, what characters are good to play? So people ask these kind of questions a lot, like, oh, what character should I play? I want to get good at the game, not just a character. And normally what I say is just to play whatever is fun, because the number one thing is to continue playing no matter what. That's number one. However, with what you're asking, what will improve my overall skill in Street Fighter? Then you have to define what is Street Fighter. And that is not easy to define. There have always been characters in every single game that breaks the rules. And if in every game there's multiple characters that break the rules in all the games, what is the rule? At a certain point, you start to recognize that some things are more nebulous than others. However, I would say, in my opinion, there's a few overarching themes in general Street Fighter, and that is controlling space is like the biggest thing for Street Fighter. And generally that involves grounded movement and anti-air awareness. But so many characters play in the air, so many characters have wacky neutral and wacky setups and wacky zoning, and it's just hard to really say what's the number one thing that Street Fighter is. If you define Street Fighter based on what I said, yeah, maybe go for a Ryu, maybe go for a Karen if you want a version of that on crack. You know, like Karen is Street Fighter on steroids, you know, stuff like that. Karen, Chun-Li, Ryu, Ken can give you some bad habits. Hard to say. Number one thing though, play who you have fun with. That's the most important thing. Droy asks, I don't understand the value of buffering specials when counter poking when you can hit confirm off single normals, with punishing on reaction, and I don't understand its counter strategy if it's still a vital skill to learn. You cannot hit confirm every normal, and not even every character has hit confirms. So buffering is for situations where you cannot hit confirm. Say you're playing Karen. When you play Karen, you generally don't buffer crouching medium kick into Tenko, right? You hit confirm it. She has that luxury of having a hit confirm. A hit confirm is a luxury. A good hit confirm that leads to damage and is on a low is ultimate luxury. So don't take those things for granted. A lot of characters don't have a hit confirm. They don't have a low. When you buffer, you do it in situations where you are guessing that they're going to occupy that space, and you cancel a move that you can't hit confirm normally into a special move, with the idea that if the move whiffs, like if I'm doing ball arc crouching medium punch, I'm going to buffer that to dash punch. If my medium punch whiffs, my dash punch won't come out. You'll just see a quick whiff of a medium punch. But if you happen to walk into the medium punch, or you happen to press a button and I clip you, my dash punch then comes out. So it's a way for me to more safely get the dash punch to connect on the opponent. And that's the idea, is that you buffer moves that you can't confirm, and you kind of go fish. You're fishing to clip something, and you might get a knockdown or damage or super from it. So buffering is super strong, and you know, certain characters use it more than others, but it's a really big part of Street Fighter V for sure. Dagnall RGT Tired Edition. What's up, Daniel? Daniel asks, what's the biggest fighting game lesson that Street Fighter V helps bring into your play in other fighting games? I have my own answer to this question, but curious what yours is. The biggest fighting game lesson that Street Fighter V teaches you: to respect every opponent. If you mess around in Street Fighter V and you don't respect your opponent, I don't care who they are, you might end up in a situation where suddenly it's guess for game. You gotta be playing on point. Sometimes you can troll a little bit, mess around, play a little relaxed. But if you relax too much against anybody and you get a little sloppy, you might end up in a situation where you're about to die very quickly. And that's not because the game is random or because the game squashed the skill ceiling. It's because you relax too much, and it's a very high damage game if you get sloppy. So it teaches you to kind of always play at your best, unless you want to just lose in a situation where you could have avoided it for sure. And of course, it taught me to take the throw. I mean, when I went over to play Guilty Gear Strive, the amount of people that I murked by shimmying them over and over, and every single Guilty Gear veteran was just mashing throw tech on defense, was hilarious. I beat people who've been playing Guilty Gear for 20 years, and I just picked it up because all I did was walk forward and walk back, and they just whiff throw, and I would counter, and it just, their life bars would explode. It was hilarious to see. So I definitely learned to take the throw before Guilty Gear Vets, and that was a very fun couple of months when Guilty Gear first came out. It was very fun. That said, guys, this is going to be the end of the first iteration of the Street Fighter V Q&A. Now, listen, I have so many more responses here that I think I'm just going to do a part 2. I think I'm going to do more of these because, honestly, these are really great questions and really good discussion, but it's too much to do all in one video, so that's all I have for this one. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff if you enjoyed the video. It really does support the channel, and be on the lookout for the next one of these videos. Bye.